right of the people, baby.
To truly choose to love is heroic.
Everything would be all right if everything was put back in the hands of the people. And we're going to have to put it back in the hands of the people.
It takes the willingness to stand by and do what has to be done when it has to be done.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Off The Shelf Book Club. My name is Jermaine.
My name is Jessalin.
And we have a very special guest with you today for our very first interview about one of the books that we read together. Today we're going to get into just talking about the book with our very special guest. Before we get into that, make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, and make sure you share with your friends. We have all the resources that you can need to find any of the books that you need for joining us with our book club. So check those out in the description below, and we will be introducing our upcoming book, and that is...
Our upcoming book that will start in the next couple of weeks will be We Do This Until We Free Us by Mariame Kaba. It's a great book about abolition, and she specifically talks about abolition with gender violence and sexual violence and how that looks. It's a really good book as we start to talk a little bit more in depth into abolition and abolitionist practices. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and so we're really excited to get into that book. If you need any resources to find that, check them out down below. Use your local library. Shout out our local library. That's where we're shooting this today, at the Wentworth West St. Paul Public Library. Thank you to them. We're using their free space, and that's why our libraries are a necessity in our society. And before we get into our our interview, I do want to do our regular land acknowledgement. The Off The Shelf Book Club wants to offer our utmost respect to those who came before us on this land. It is important that we protect and acknowledge the history of the indigenous people of America. Minnesota Makoche, which means the land of the water that reflects the sky, is the homeland of the Dakota and the Anishinaabe people. Minnesota and its history has taken part in the genocide of Native people and multiple treaties that stripped them from their lands. Where Off The Shelf Book Club resides is the home of the Metawakan people, which means dwellers of the Spirit Lake. Off The Shelf Book Club will do whatever we can to honor the Native people and their lands and do what we can to aid in the land back movement. Awesome. So we're really excited to get into this interview that we have today. It's our very first one, so we're still working out all the kinks, but it's going very well so far. And we're really excited to introduce our guest today. Ooh. Today we have Elena, and we are, who is our very good friend and a co-worker. We went to high school together, and we all went through high school in Avid together, and we were blessed to have one of the best teachers on this planet. And now we currently are tutors together in the same school district that we went to. So, just a little bit of a background. Lan is an editor and a writer based in Minnesota. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in English and Political Science from the University of Minnesota, and she was born in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. I did not know that.
Yeah.
What?
Is this so crazy?
Yeah, that's dope.
So, yes, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And yeah, I was born in Vietnam. I am an immigrant myself, so this book was really a really refreshing, take on immigration system as someone who have gone through the immigration system myself, and naturalized as well, become a naturalized citizen. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
That's amazing. I think that makes this book so much more important, like hearing your perspective on it. So yeah, what were your initial thoughts about the book?
Yeah, so I really like how she kind of lays out the political history of immigration, right? So one of my majors is political science, and I'm always interested in understanding how the different pieces of the political system kind of building this kind of oppressive system. And I think she also really lays out very well like the theory and the praxis of it. Like she gives many sort of different examples of how people have tried to, overhaul the system, try to stop, different facility being built. And she also like offers a really like the ending is quite optimistic, and I think it's also quite a very good sort of effective in a sense, like in the sense of theory, that she like lays out a very good sort of connection to how we could sort of abolish the whole system through different economic means, because as we understand, as she lays out and as we understand, the goal, like the main incentive to continue building these sort of facilities, right, is the economic incentives. Like there are economic incentives in it. So yeah, I really like how she sort of give us a very good background into the whole incarceration, and just a really good fleshed out book.
Yeah,
I
can definitely agree. The walkthrough of history, like she really brings it all the way back to, I believe, like Nixon, or no, even before that. Yeah, to the Undesirable Aliens Act, which I think was like in 1920 something, maybe earlier than that.
Yeah, I believe she brought it back to then. Like she did a really good like comprehensive, like here's where it started, and it started like immigration, like oppression and things like that started way before 9/11 technically, right? And like making sure that we understood that like there's these policies that happened to be in place, right, way before 9/11 happened. But the creation of ICE and that stuff came post 9/11. And making that sort of distinction, I think, was it's really important, because sometimes we can always get mixed up with those things, right? Like when we talk about how our systems have been oppressive for a really long time, is sometimes those things can get a little bit distorted and messed up in that space. So that was I feel like it was a nice, clear consensus of these happened before, but this specifically right here, right, that we've been dealing with since has started.
Yeah, it was a really good wrap up. I appreciate it, because I think it's a lot of it. If you're not doing the research, or you don't get a degree in this type of stuff, you don't realize like how integral it's integrated in every single step, in every politician that we've seen. They've somehow upheld the same standards. So yeah, Jessalin, do you want to ask the first question?
Yeah. Our first question is, how has this book in particularly either added, changed, or supported your idea of immigration and abolition as a whole?
Yeah, great question. I think, so one of the things that she brought up that I noticed that isn't often like highlighted in the discourse over immigration is like the link between terrorism and immigration, right? And people talk about immigration and like, people like saying as if like as a choice that these immigrants are coming over. But no, like people have to remember that like many people do not want to come, like many people do not want to leave their homeland.
Yes.
Like it's not, a lot of time it's not a choice. Like for me as well, like my family, well, it was, my family history is like going back to the Vietnam War. Like no one, like we had no idea that we had to leave. Like it's like, when war happens, you kind of have to do anything you can to like survive, right? To like save your family, to make sure that your family is safe. And so it's like the notion that like immigrants want to come over here and like somehow want to take jobs away, like that to me, it's like something that's, is always, kind of forgotten in the discourse, is that like a lot of times like many people don't want to leave, like they don't want to leave their homeland, but they have to, right? And a lot of times because, as the U.S., being its, imperial self, right? It wants to like cause so many wars overseas. And especially, after the or during the Cold War, like it's yeah, like it caused a lot of sort of this. Like I think one of the things that she really highlights so well is just like how many, like there's a terrorism and like it leads to this immigration, and then like the U.S. would kind of just say that immigrants should not be here when they are the cause of this mass migration, like that kind of that circle thing. And so yeah, like so then to me, and also like the economic aspect of it too, like how the U.S. Many corporations in the U.S. like offshore the jobs to overseas. So then that also takes away jobs in like domestically. And so it's like there's a lot like that kind of idea of like how, like the capitalism of it all, right? Like causing breeding problem, like kind of prioritizing profit, like that to me, I think, yeah, like Shah really does well of like highlighting like the causes of immigration rather than just like saying, oh, it's like kind of brushing it off, kind of like a phenomenon. Like, no, it's yeah.
There's a real reason.
Yeah, there's a real reason in it. Yep.
Right. And in that space of them just like playing in our faces, like, all right, you're causing, right, immigration come here by doing these things in their country. But then also, right, the companies that you want to give priority of are also going overseas and bringing people over here to work. But then you also want to go over and say that immigration is bad. People should not be immigrating over here. Like, you're playing in our faces. Like, you need to make up your mind.
Exactly.
And be consistent. There's no consistency in here at a minimum, right? And there's that space of, like, there's people in America who are immigrating out of here, right?
Yes.
Because they want better lives. Somebody who wants a better life means that wherever they're at is not sustainable for them. Point blank, period, right?
Yes.
That's why people move. People aren't moving out of their countries because everything is fine and it's perfect. Right? Nobody's doing that.
Right. And like one of the key thing too that reminds me, like in the book, like she always kind of mentioned how, and like that same piece, like the racial aspect of it all, right? How it's like people coming to the U.S. are called immigrants, but the people who are in the U.S. going out of state, they're called expats.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, most of them are called expat. Like I think it's mentioned in a different book that I've read. I can't remember right now, but yeah, it's like that racial aspect of like, oh, immigrants here, like if you're a person of color, like immigrating to the U.S., you're called immigrant. But like if you're going overseas, like if like I'm a white person or something, like going to like back home or something, going out of state, they're called expats, and that ties back to that racial aspect too that Shah mentioned, how it really just ties down to race as well, and like
I think like a recent perfect explanation or example of that is the South Africaners, the white South Africaners that were brought to America, and they were called asylum seekers, as if the Vietnamese people who came over here after the war, with the aftermath of the war, they weren't asylum seekers, as if the people in the Somali community who we pretty much went over there and started a civil war, they're not asylum seekers. We call them immigrants. We call them aliens. Same with the our South American or Central America Hispanic community that come over here. We literally have government officials doing business, like drug business, between cartels. And we call them the aliens, but we are adding on to those issues over there, knowing that more people are going to need to come over here. And it's like so backwards that that Americans, the American political system doesn't understand that, hey, the American system has always been oppressive towards any people of color. So the fact that people of color are coming here as a resort, as an answer, like clearly there's an issue. That it's not just like a easy decision to make. Like I've talked to some of my Caribbean people in my Caribbean community, and their parents wouldn't allow them to go down south when they moved here, they weren't allowed to go down south because there's a reality that everyone knows that we still, are doing these terrible things. So it's just, there has to be a realization for the American public and the American, government system that, this is like a last resort choice in most cases.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate your answer on that, like bringing it back to your experience and your family's experience. Do you think that this was coming here to America, dealing with all these extra things that you may not have to deal with in Vietnam, but there's also things in Vietnam that you may not have to deal with here. Do you think that has outweighed one another?
Well, yeah, I mean, I came here when I was young, like when I was 9. So my memory of like living in Vietnam is like kind of murky at this point, right? And it's like I've lived here so long, but of course it's like as a person of like here, I am a person of color, whereas in Vietnam I'm just like a regular Vietnamese, right? So that in itself is like a wild experience. But yeah, like I mean, I guess I can talk about like my naturalization kind of process because I don't think a lot of people understand how kind of crazy that experience is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small, it's of course, like my experience is not as, it's a very privileged experience in that I've never been incarcerated or like, confront with having to like confront with ICE or anything. But I had to go through the naturalization process myself, like applying for citizenship and everything. And I just love how like the form that I had to fill out, it's so wild. Like the questions that they would ask you in that form, it's like, so I was, like, it was like there was always this question of like, are you a part of the Communist Party?
Yeah,
like,
I love asking that.
Yeah. Like, are you a part of the Communist Party?
I was 9, dog.
And like, there was like, are you part of the Nazi Party? I'm like, I was not born in that time, but still, like, I had to like, answer those questions.
Them asking if you're part of the Nazi Party is actually kind of crazy. For the sole purpose is that like there's like so many people that like who are citizens, right, born here, that very much are, because they're actively in our government.
We're trying to pay them right now.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, like, and then, like in the interview process, right, like you have to know at least, I think, 10 like civic kind of questions. And a lot of these questions, like, I don't think a regular American would even remember. But yeah, I had to like memorize those questions going in, like interview with this person. And funny enough, like a lot of people, like the person interviewing me at the time was a person of color as well. So it's like, I don't know. It's like it's definitely like I think a lot of the things that I'm going through here in the U.S. is definitely like, I would not, it's completely different from what my life in Vietnam would be like. Like then there's also like this joke that I always say to my friends is like here, like when I speak English, like people are not that impressed because, English is like a language that like everyone needs to know. But if you go to Vietnam or something and if you speak English, like everybody would just like praise you. Like everyone's like, oh my gosh, you can speak so good, like English so good. Or like if you're like a non-person of color presenting, like if you're like a white person or something, if you speak Vietnamese, like people would be so impressed. And I'm just like, that's the bare minimum.
Exactly.
Like to me, like that's just like the bare minimum. But yeah, it's like there's these experiences that's just like, it's definitely like an exceptional kind of experience in the U.S. Like just the fact of being like a person of color, it's like so exceptional. I think. Yeah.
It is interesting that you say, right, because the person who gave those questions was a person of like color. Our government system, the vast majority of people who work there are people of color.
Exactly.
And at least for the people who we see on almost an every day-to-day life, right, like that help us with, things like being a citizen or even like the DMV and things like that nature. So it's just, it is really, it's almost like ironic how those things really work out here.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even look at our military too.
Oh,
Our
yes.
military has a lot of people of color, and they're
Yes.
doing these, atrocious acts to
Yes.
people of color, and it's just like if you see every time I see a black cop, I just throw up in my mouth a little bit.
Oh my
It
gosh,
just,
yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like, or ICE
Yeah.
or anybody. Like when I see that type of stuff, it's just like,
Why
Yeah.
are you here and how did you get
Exactly.
here? Right?
yeah. There's sellouts
Yeah.
in all
Yeah.
communities, man.
But I think she also mentioned in the book too. It's like how some people they need, in some cases undocumented people sometimes they join the military just to get the citizenship, and
Yep.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, dang, the military got they have every sort of way to get people to join. That's
Military really knows how to.
They really know how
they
to
know how to
hook people
convince
in.
you.
I know this
Yeah.
isn't the most political correct term or way to explain it, but I know that the military is a pimp.
Yeah.
They pimp out everybody that they can, and they tell you there's this big dream. And I know there's this meme on social media about how the military has started offering Hellcats and Trackhawks for these cars, these big nice cars for
No, but that's
joining.
exactly what it is a
It
pimp
is.
because they're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you finna do this for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Literally.
You're gonna do all my dirty work. You're gonna get out there in the field
Yeah.
and go get my money, go get that land,
Yes.
And I'm
and
gonna take that money. I'm gonna take you
Take
only
that.
get this much.
I'm
Oh
gonna
my
tell
God.
you, I'm gonna take care of you when you
Yeah.
get back here. And then the VA system is,
That's
And they're like,
so
just
real.
kidding. I'm not taking care of you.
That's
For real.
so
You're
real.
on your own.
yeah, it's crazy, man.
Oh my gosh.
And it's you're actively working into the divestment of your community usually,
Yeah.
or the destruction of your community, because these National Guard, when I see those protests, it's a lot of people of color
Yeah.
that are in the National Guard staring us right back down,
Yeah.
you know, and it's sick.
It is.
In the way that they treat us. I remember when George Floyd protests started happening, and I had a friend, and she had met somebody who was in the National Guard who was deployed here for George Floyd, and he actually gave her his baton. That motherfucker was. It was used. I can tell you that it was used.
You could tell.
my
It was
gosh.
used.
And they look forward to it, because I had a conversation with somebody that I grew up with. I haven't seen them in a really long time, because they're a friend of mine's cousin, and they were around enough to where we kind of grew up together
Yeah,
too. And we had a conversation about them joining the police academy, and one of the things he said was, I am excited to put hands on people, and it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
No, because right, my minor in criminal justice, right, vast majority of people. Well, I didn't even well, maybe not where I went, vast majority, but usually it is. I think it was 50-50 while I was there, but they all want to be a police in some case. And,
Oh my gosh.
And even right, our professors who are police, reasons why they get in there because they want to fight crime and kick somebody's ass,
Too many
right?
Batman movies.
Yeah.
I want to be a hero in the story.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So, getting into this next question, do you have any ideas on how abolitionist practices can be implemented in order to better our immigration system?
Well, this was a tough question to me because I also am I'm like an amateur in the term of political science field. But I think, so one of the things that she mentioned, right, it's how there's a money involved. There's always money involved. And in politics, of course, politicians, they love money. That's the reason why they stay in office for so long, right? Because they love the money that they get. So, and I think and it's clear that the U.S. has a lot of money. We have enough money to give free education, hand out free healthcare and all of that. So to me, I think realistically, and if we want, if there's a place to start somewhere, that's that would be, to me, would be getting politicians to shift the priorities of the budget. Basically, we have the money, but our priorities are not on the right things, right? So really, it's really just to divert that priorities to, giving people resources that they need for education, for healthcare, like just kind of like cripple the agency down.
Yeah.
Like just do anything to cripple the agency financially, so that people have enough resources to to make incarceration like non-existent, and like to help people kind of move into like getting through the immigration system, like kind of overhaul the immigration system, like with justice. And so yeah.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is making sure that they do. I think about one story that I had a mentor talk about, because he worked in the mayor's office in St. Paul. Yeah. You remember this. He, like, during that time, right, when he was he was like a head of like public safety and stuff like that, but he is an abolitionist, and so part of what he was trying to do was implement that in some possible ways. And when it came to looking at that budget, right, the mayor that went into the office was supposed to have those kind of views, just for them to basically turn around and give more money to the police in that budget, even though they didn't use all of their budget from the last year. And even their police chief was like, yeah, actually, you know what, he's right, we don't need more, money.
That is so
Yeah.
like, see, that's the thing that I really, it's like there's so much money, and it's like, why are we giving it to things that people don't really need all the time, right? I mean, like the police. Sorry, yeah, that's like the frustrating part to me. It's like how we have so much money, and it's like always going towards something that does not benefit anybody.
Yep.
Truly. It only benefits their agenda to, I guess, just like continue the enslavement of people, because that's, I mean, it makes it, I think, kind of going back to what you were saying earlier of like the divestment of all these systems, we also have to like make sure that we shouldn't be profiting off of certain things. Like there's just certain things you shouldn't profit off of. Like war shouldn't be one of those things. Like I think we can all agree on that. Because if you profit off of something, you're going to want it to happen more. You're going to want more of it, because we live in a capitalistic society. So how do we, I guess, get to the point of where we don't profit off of these crimes? Because crime's going to happen.
It is, yeah.
How do we profit off of that and also like slow it down to help people actually not commit these crimes as often, give them less reason to commit these crimes? Do you have any, I guess, idea of that? Sorry if I'm adding on to the questions we gave you.
I mean, yeah, it's like really, like if you look at colonial theorists, post-colonial theorists, a lot of time they talk about giving, sort of coming up, like convincing people to talk to those, like the lumpen proletariat, like talking to people who are often ignored in history, right? And kind of coming up with like rehabilitation practices. It's like, so like, and a lot of time, and then like criminals too, like if you think about them, it's like the reason why they get into crime is because they don't have the necessary resources that they need. Like they don't have housing, they don't have healthcare, they may have lost their job, and so like that's why they go down to this road of like committing crime. So it's like, so then yeah, it's like it's really just like, hey, like let's put the money into like building more housing, getting people jobs, and like just it's like, to me, and like I mean, that's like classic America, right? Like there's always money to be made. So it's like if we can make society, like reform society to be where there is like abundant of resources, where people don't, are not afraid of like scarcity, like that to me would be like the dream for me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So for our next question, abolition usually takes a lot of creativity. And so that's why a lot of people who usually aren't abolitionists or who look at us really crazy think that we're very unrealistic and are only based on theory, and abolition is only based on theory. It can't be practiced and things of that nature. How do you imagine and how would you imagine abolition to truly look like in society?
Oh yeah. So I can only think of like even though like I'm a editor writer, my imagination is like very, you know, like near term kind of thing, right? So I mean, okay, my thought is I think like people say it's not possible because like they haven't seen what's possible and like they haven't been allowed to think that it's possible, right? And one thing that Shah always mentioned is like how the Democratic Party has not been a strong opposition party to the Republicans. Like they have been in it the whole time. Like and even right now too, they're not meeting any moment. Like they're not meeting the moment at all, right? And so to me, like how like really like to me in the near future, right? We're having this election coming up, and right now like the Democrat, like a lot of Democratic voters are like facing kind of two front, right? They're fighting against the establishment that have always, you know, condoned these kind of actions, like have always participated in incarcerating immigrants and all of that. And then there's a front of like the socialists, right? Like through the Zohran Madani lately, the elections that we have been seeing a lot of DSA sort of candidates winning elections. So I think it's possible. Like we are making progress towards of like, you know, making sure that again, like the money is not going towards things that unnecessary things. And we're seeing sort of this wave of like people being cognizant and being more aware of like where we're heading in terms of like, you know, immigration and like with the ICE thing too. Like we are seeing people be more aware and like understanding how ICE is like is a destructive sort of agency. And so, yeah, I think like with that, like to answer the question, like I think like to me like how I imagine abolition is like us sort of seeing this wave of like socialism and like rising and like this youth, like the youth being more involved. Like because I mean the reason why like, you know, the Democratic establishment always ignores the young voters because like we're like the, you know, the least sort of participant in the civic area, and so I think we are seeing a rise of like, you know, young people being more aware of what's happening and like wanting to change, and like people are starting to feel the effects, like the damaging effects of like, you know, ICE and like climate and all that. So I'm quite hopeful in a sense that like we like this upcoming election, like we're gonna see a wave of, you know, like democratic socialist sort of candidates winning and us being able to push for a lot of change happening in the near future. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
That does.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I really agree, because Mamdani, man, I feel like every time I learn something new about what he's done or his plans and his policy overall, it makes me excited.
Yeah.
It makes me really sad because he can't go for president.
It makes us sad of what we could have had.
Right.
Yeah.
But it does really make me hopeful because, man, like we need to get rid of the establishment Democrat. Like
Yes.
they're spineless. They're really not even Democrats. They're just Republicans, just not the Nazi kind.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I'm so irritated and like frustrated with the Democratic Party because I hear so much. Like, I agree with you. There's a lot of hope, but I also think that there's a lot of like chance that we just fall right back in line because we have a lot of like the current candidates for our upcoming Democratic Party is Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris, and I don't think either of them are like that. They're not going to lead us to abolition.
No, and
they're not.
And like locally, right? Like Amy Klobuchar doesn't think that she needs to do anything to actually gain our votes. If you go onto our website, she doesn't have enough.
No.
She barely has any policy. She has concepts.
She
has concepts
that's so true.
of policy and what she, but there's nothing on there. She thinks that she can just become governor without any actual work,
which is so wild. Like I mean, I joked about running for governor, but I don't think I can. But I've joked before. But yeah, like no, we need to we need to push someone more progressive than Amy Klobuchar for governor for sure. Like I'm still hopeful. Like I'm like crossing my fingers that someone, like someone please run and like to the left, like to the farthest left of of Amy Klobuchar, because I mean like she has a long record of of working for the state. Like she was our senator, and so like she kind of riding that wave of like believing that like we're just gonna fall in line and like we're just gonna vote for her. But like again, like people are feeling the effects of like all these shitty things. Like we're like the cost of living. Like I think the one thing that Zohran Mamdani was really good at is like communicating that like communicating how the cost of living and like how it's terrible for everybody. Like he's not compromising on any other issues, right? Because he's running on affordability. He's running on making sure people are fed and like housed and all of that. So like that is what matters. Like I think that is like the winning message right there. It's like you have to, and like if you're not running for that on that, like you're for sure. It's just I want to see someone more progressive than Amy Klobuchar run for governor, please.
Agreed.
Because they're trying to fearmonger too people into like being like, oh well, she's running, then nobody else needs to. Really early on, already trying to fearmonger in people who might have took that step up and would have been like, oh, I'm gonna run for governor, who might have been more progressive than her, because I don't even think she's as progressive as Tim Walz.
No, she isn't. She's actually like I want to say she was a prosecutor at one point, or like
she was. She was.
Yeah.
And I believe she was district attorney.
Something like that. And so she believes in the system that already exists. So it just like, if we want abolition, we can't accept a candidate like that. I do hope, and I have a lot of hope for the future of like more candidates are going to start popping up. We're going to start hearing more of Zohran Mamdani type of candidates, because that's what, like, it's almost it reminds me of the need in the youth today of like a third space. Like I think the community and society needs a better option, and we're getting to the point where like, you know what, like even the next presidency we could see a bigger third party pull, because like people are tired of Democrats, people are tired of the Republicans, people are tired of Trump too, but like we can't also, like, how many times are we gonna be like, this is the lesser of two evils?
I was like, no, they're both evil. Like, it's it doesn't make the thing anything better. No.
Why do we have to be evil? You know?
Exactly. Right.
Why do we have to pick like? So we can have other options. I think that a lot is going to be the first step of like, no, we can actually have other options. You just have to like take that step. Everybody just needs to take that first step and being like, no, I'm actually not for the fall for this. So if that means that I unfortunately have to leave that governor slot blank come November, then I guess that's what I'm going to have to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully we get it together, though. I have a little bit of faith that we will, because Minnesota has taken really huge steps. Like, I'm proud to be from Minnesota right now.
Yes.
To be in Minnesota.
Yeah, like that protest. I was so impressed with that. Like the freezing cold, but like just impressive, like show out, and it's just like, yeah, like, yeah, of course, I'm from Minnesota. Yes. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, and even just specific policy changes allowing undocumented immigrants to still get their driver's license.
yes.
And
Yes.
doing all those things, right? Ensuring that, right, ICE can't like see who's undocumented, right, in our schools, and all of those things. And I think as of come this summer, I want to say that we are actually going to raise the age for juvenile.
Yeah.
And so it'll be, I want to say it'll go from 18 to 21. But then like if you were to do the like EJJ program, which I'm not like necessarily for, I think that there's a lot of issues with that program, but right, its intent is to help, right, youth, and then that age will go up from, I think, I want to say till 25, but then that'll just allow, right, young people
To get a second
to
chance.
get more of a second chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me, our amazing AVID teacher also said, like, I think you were in the conversation too, like, she was kind of, like, said how, like, people, like, adults, like, just hold grudges. Like, she was kind of impressed how, like, hold grudges on kids. And I'm like, yeah, adults hold a lot of grudges on kids for no reason.
And it's weird.
And it's
It's
very
weird
weird.
to hold grudges.
It is.
Because we all work with kids. Sometimes there are those kids that do be irritating you.
Yes. But yeah, they right. But yeah, they deserve a second chance. Like their minds are impressionable, so that's why, it's like their minds are constantly growing. So, and yeah, sometimes it's frustrating, but I always remind myself that like these minds will grow. Like these minds going to change. Like it doesn't look like right now, but
Right.
it will change.
And that's why I'm here, right? To help you
Yeah.
at least have some type of voice in your head
Yeah.
to maybe make that change.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really important. And it's really important that, like, we take these abolitionist steps in everything that we do, because even though, we're tutors, we work with these kids for an hour, 2 times a week. But that hour, there's so much that we can get done, that we can implement, and we can, just drop little seedlings and see what it comes, you see what comes from it, just because we said it. Because something that I don't know if I said it or voiced it correctly at the training the other day, but truly, with everyone, with every person that you meet, you never know if anyone said that to them before, if they've ever heard that before. So introducing is a really big step, I think, or a key part of introducing abolition, is being like, here's a little tidbit. Have you ever thought about why do we punish people for the crimes the way we do? Or have you ever thought about this? Or even just giving a kid a compliment, it can be very life-changing for anybody. It's
Of course, yeah.
Dropping that seed.
For sure.
You said we don't need to do 4. Do we start getting into the ancestor question, or
no, I thought you.
or no? We want to get into. We do want to get into 5 and then 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. This is going really smooth. Oh, am I asking this one?
I can ask it. It's fine.
Cool.
All right. This next one is, how has your background in political science informed your thinking on immigration? Did it either differ or stay consistent based on your lived experience?
Good question. So, okay, long answer, but backstory to my political science, my decision to major in political science. My first major was English, and the reason why I went to political science is because I grew up really loving dystopian novels, like The Animal Farm, the 1984, and then the Harlem Renaissance as well. Like, I just loved the historical sort of political works, and so that led me to study political science. And what I didn't think, I learned so much, and I didn't think I was gonna my mind would be open to so many things in political science. I think, like, with political science, it helped me, like, understand sort of, kind of, I mean, we learn about, like, governance. A lot of time we learn about governance in political science, right? Like, how different kind of branches of government work together, what the laws that they come up with, like, the checks and balances and all that. But also learn about comparative governments, which are, like, comparing one country to another. And that to me is quite helpful because, like, again, coming from another country, like, my kind of like, my perspective of the world is that I think in, like, it's kind of going back to W.E.B. Du Bois, like, concept of, like, double consciousness. Like, I think of, like, the world in, like there's the American experience, and then there's also that, you know, Vietnamese experience, right? Like, I also think of, like, okay, so this, like, America did this, so then this happened in the other place as well. So then it's like, how should I answer this? It, like, opened my mind to understand how, like, the U.S. have so much impact on the world. Like, you know, the U.S. as, like, the imperial U.S. And so it changed my mind a lot on how, like, back in the, like, when I was younger, I always thought, like, America is this grand place, this, like, you know, American dream and all of that, right? But since studying political science, I'm like, wow, America is actually a terrible place. Like, like, it's done a lot of things. Like, it's not as, it's a, you know, it's a work in progress. It's like, there's so many things that it just, like, it helped me to understand just how impressive, like, the government is in terms of, like, coming up with things that are, like, you know, that are quite evil. Like, it's, right. And, like, yeah, and so then it makes me think of, so now it's like whenever I think of when, you know, confronting with, like, a problem, I kind of think of, like, the structure of it all, like, what, like, how did this come to be, kind of, like, this historical sort of lens of, like, how did this come to be, and just, yeah, understanding that the U.S. it's still an imperial power, and how, like, it's always striving for hegemony in the world, and so, and yeah, just, like, the political science, like, really opened up my mind to, like, really changed my mind on a lot of things. Like, and yeah, the first and foremost thing is that the U.S. is an evil place. Yeah.
That's a real thing, because I had similar realization, because my minor is right in criminal justice, and what brought me to that is being, you know, interested in, like, true crime stuff, whatever, and then I started taking the classes, and I was like, this is not this is not it. I don't like this one bit. Right. No.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's really interesting. You brought up how, like, English, growing up, your favorite type of literature was dystopian, and going for your English degree, you ended up kind of coming across this, you know, epiphany moment of being like, oh wait, political science might be my route. It's so dope because, like, I do kind of the same thing with, like, comics, of, like, you see there's an issue, you see that there's this bad guy, and how can we creatively deal with this bad guy? And sometimes there's this, it's like almost seems impossible, all odds are against us, but they end up overcoming that villain. And I think that's a really good way of, like, looking at this capitalistic imperialistic monster that we're dealing with right now, is like, yeah, we got to get creative, we got to get the whole gang together to work on making sure that we can overcome this villain. And, like, it's so crazy to go through that realization.
Exactly. And, like, it's so funny to me when people say, like, art is not political. Like, you know, like, I've had this so many conversations with, like, friends who are like, I'm like, yeah, art is very political, and they're like, no, it's not political, like, it's just art. And I'm like, you do not, like, I came into political science because I read, you know, Harlem Renaissance, like, the works of Langston Hughes, like, Claude McKay and all of that, and, like, understanding, like, you know, the historical background of, like, why did they write this poems, and, like, what, you know, what they go through. And, like, yeah, like writers, like the work that they put out, the work that artists put out are informed by the political context that they live in, right? So it's like, it's so funny to me when people just try to argue with me that art is not political. And I'm like, everything is political. Like, what do you
Everything.
mean?
Yeah,
Everything.
Because it's crazy. Because even like, right, the new Superman movie that came out.
Yeah.
Like, there's a direct translation to what's going on in like Palestine and Israel.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can connect those things so well.
Yes.
Because they created that based on what's happening.
Exactly.
And even like with, right, the recent painting that I just finished, right, it may not look per se, right, political, but it's literally of a black man surrounded by flowers.
Right.
How many black men do you know surrounded by flowers?
Yeah.
Not very many.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. It's because of the political context in
Yes.
which black people and black men specifically live in.
Yeah.
That's not normal because in society they're looked at as angry.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And everything, even I think that art is like a really easy one to like give an example on how everything is, political, because you having the time to even make that art is a
Yes.
political statement within
It is.
itself.
Yes.
You deciding that survival isn't like, I don't have to focus solely on surviving right now. Let me make this art. That's a political statement
It
within
is, yeah.
itself too. And it's really just beautiful because like a lot of the times in my experience of being an artist is like taking the time to make art in the capitalistic monster we live today.
Yes.
It's a sacrifice.
It is.
It's a
Yeah.
huge
It is.
sacrifice.
It is. Yeah.
And we don't reward people enough for that. Not even necessarily just reward them, but like acknowledge that. Like a big reason what I think has slowed my writing down and like me bringing out a lot of music is because like when we were in high school, it was like a cliche to be a SoundCloud rapper, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like that
But, like,
takes
that's-
genuine guts to even
Yeah.
do that, and that's a political statement within
Yeah.
itself. And
Yeah.
it just it's always that deep, and
Right,
I
it
get so
is.
irritated with people who say it isn't that deep because it is.
It is. It is. And yeah, I mean, art is also labor. Like making art is also labor. It's just that like again, capitalism, right? It doesn't reward art as something productive, or like it doesn't see art as like something making money easily, right? So it's like, so people just, I don't know, like they think that art is not political because because the way that they think of art, it's not a profiting thing. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but
Yeah. And it's interesting how all art, like even the dude, you've probably heard me say it before, I'm a big Drake hater, but
Yeah.
he is like another example of like, his music is political, not in the way that maybe we want it to be political.
Yeah.
We want it to be politically charged, but it's politically charged in this capitalistic, egotistic, patriarchal, like over toxic or overly masculine vibe.
Yeah.
Not even really I don't know. It's like it's a lot of it, but
yeah.
everything has everything to do with it.
Yeah, and you can think of even Drake, right? Because, well, I'm not a fan of Drake either, right? His long-standing lover boy era as a black man in particular as well. In this, right, because he did, grow as an artist around the rap scene is not something that's typical. And you can say that, like, even if he didn't do it on purpose and he wasn't trying to be political, it was something.
Though that's a
that-
political statement, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Did it even if he wasn't trying to.
Yeah, being that like, oh, I'm gonna make love songs and be emotional and like I vibe with that type of stuff. But it's a political statement. But I think he wasn't trying to put that out there in this sense. But but it is a political statement.
Yes, it is. It is.
I love the irony sometimes within like unintentional political statements. Just a lot of artists don't realize how like that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like, interpretation also changes how, like, the viewer of the art is also having their own political context that they're applying to the work too, right? So yeah, art is beautiful. Art is great, right? Like, like sometimes like even my own stuff that I write, like I've like, you know, when I was taking like a poetry class, I write like there are poems I write just, you know, without thinking much, and then I would have the instructor saying like, you know, having all sort of different interpretations about it. I'm like, interesting. I did not think about that.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, art is so fun that way, right? Like there's the art you create is also perceived differently by different people because of their political context that they live in as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful wrap up of that. All right, we're at about 56 minutes now. Should we get into that? What kind of ancestor?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So one of our last questions for today is, what kind of ancestor do you want to be? What is the world you want to leave behind? And how do you think we start making that world now?
Great question. I mean, kind of going back to the previous question, so my goal for the future is that I eventually want to get my master's and potentially PhD because I want to teach. Like through this job, through this tourism. I mean, it's always been in the back of my mind of like whether I want to teach or not. Like I was kind of debating to myself, like, you know, should I go into education and all that? But yeah, through this like tutoring experience, like I found that I really want to like teach at some point and also like do like, especially like, art education. Like I want to get my Master of Fine Art so that I can, you know, be as good of a writer as I can to be able to teach that. So to me, and like so we're working with kids in this job too, like I think like the kind of person that I want to be is like someone who can inspire learning, because to me like I love learning and I learn about all these things just because of books and like because I wanted, like, you know, again, stumbling upon political science just because I really love dystopian novels. Like that to me is like a joy of like, you know, getting inspired to like dig into more things that like, you know, look further, like go beyond what you already know. And like, so yeah, like so then yeah, like the ancestor that I want to be is like someone who like just inspire lifelong learning and curiosity, right? And like in education too, like there's only so much you can teach a person, right? And so I like, but like in that like you can still try to like impart the necessary tools that they need to like go further and like look to like think beyond the current world. And so yeah, I like the kind of world I want to leave behind is like a world where like educational access is available to everybody, right? Everyone is like everyone can learn, everyone can have the resources and education and all of that. And yeah, I guess like in a sense, like I hope I'm doing that right now. Like I'm hoping that the kids that I've been meeting, that they feel comfortable in asking questions, that they are, you know, looking for sources to learn. Like they are, you know, they feel inspired to learn more, and like they feel confident in learning more, and they like I always get the comments of like, no, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I can't figure this question out. And I always tell them like, no, it's just that you're not dumb. It's like, it's just that there's so much in the world to learn. And so yeah, like that so then to me that's like the kind of person that I want to be, like someone who just, you know, always questioning and like always telling people to just keep looking, keep exploring. Yeah, because I think education is like the way to, you know, to start kind of critically think about the world they're living in and kind of start that kind of activism in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like living through their actions and steps and like just ensuring they're thinking for themselves.
Exactly.
I think that's like a huge thing that's taken for granted, because to think for yourself, and I guess nobody truly thinks for themselves.
No.
If you're going to get into like the philosophical thought of that. But it is like to be able to deconstruct the world around you, because like you were like your future people that you may be ancestors to, or your community, they may grow up and they're going to be forced into this world with whatever structure is there, you know,
exactly.
and making sure that they are given the strength to, you know, kind of buck that system, as well as learn how to maneuver in it, because that's something that we've all we're not mastered yet, but like we're getting there. And then once you master it, that's how you really learn how to deconstruct it without the master's tools. And I think that's really just a huge part of abolition, is ensuring that we're not using those same master's tools.
Exactly.
Because you can't. That's, I think I read somewhere, probably in more books than one, right? Like you can't, and I'm sure plenty of, right, our ancestors have said that before during the civil rights movement and all those things. You can't undo the system with the master's tools.
No.
You can't. That's not how that works, which means we have to go beyond that to figure out how to.
Yeah, like one figure during the civil rights, kind of piggybacking onto that, like one of the figures I learned in one of my political science course is about Ella Baker. You know, she back in the day, like that's someone I kind of aspired to be, right? She was, you know, helping people kind of learn how to read and write and like to be able to vote back in the day, right? To be able to get to the poll and like be able to beat the kind of system. And like that, to me, it's like so, like when I learned about her, I was just like, that's someone I want to be, like someone who kind of help people sort of find the tools that they need, like get the tools that they need to be able to, you know, smash the system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when she came across something she didn't like, she pivoted, because she was part of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and when they was doing stuff that she was like, I don't think so, she helped create SNCC, right, who has inspired and mentored a lot of people, including, right, my own mentor. And the
Shout out Jason Soul.
And the things that, right, they did and that she aided and helped with, she's amazing, amazing woman. Definitely someone to look up to, and how she maneuvered the civil rights movement and started, you know, Poor People's Campaign and things like that.
She's even in our theme music.
She is.
Amazing. Oh my God. I did not know.
Yeah. The last little quote, I think she says, it takes a willingness to stand by and do what has to be done when it has to be done. Something like that. She really, I appreciate her too, because I feel like when I listening to her speak, she's very like me, kind of like, nah, this is what it is. It is. This is what it is. Like you can't get around that. You know what I mean? And I think that us in America, we have to, in the United States of America, we have to constantly be vigilant of that and do those actions and being like, no, this is what this is. Like when talking to people about the 13th Amendment, like, no, it says what it says. It says what it says. Don't try and like deny the fact that this is slavery. Now, how do we move on from that? How do we get past that? How do we abolish this? We could get talking about that, but we can't really move forward until we say what it is.
Exactly.
And get it out of, start by getting out of, right, our state's constitution. Minnesota, and to be particularly, has that issue because it's still there.
And how do we, like, just ensure that we're holding these people accountable? That's what I think that we have to connect on as a community, is how do we hold these representatives accountable? Do you have any like thoughts on that? How do we do that?
Well, again, I mean, just speak as it is, right? like one thing I love about Zohran Mamdani. I know we're just going back to Mamdani right now, but Mamdani is like a really good communicator. Like he speaks as it is, and he is like he's like upfront with all the issues. And yeah, like I mean, a lot of politicians these days, like they like to lie. I mean, they of course, right? Because like they're getting money on all sources, and they have to appease their donors. But yeah, I mean, just I guess just like really speak it as it is. Like confront all these politicians, right? That this is the reality that people are living with, and like if you don't. And like again, like kind of hold them hostage in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't start acting right, like you're gonna lose votes. And again, like I'm like kind of appalled how they didn't learn from the last election cycle. Like it was so clear that the party, like the voters are like the gap between the politician and the voters are so far now, like are so wide apart. And I'm just so appalled by how they're not learning. Like they're not acknowledging like why they didn't win the last last election cycle. Like they cannot accept the reasons. And because of IPAC and all of that, all of this big giant PACs and all the money pouring into. So yeah, like lately I've been seeing a lot of like movements. Like there are a lot of politicians, like DSA kind of aligned sort of politicians. They're getting a lot of organization, like sort of good people movement, like people like movement from people without that stress on money. And so I'm just really hopeful about like people kind of getting better at organizing and like kind of standing behind politicians with morals, with righteous morals. And so to me that is bringing me hope these days, and I support it.
I agree with you. I think organizing is clearly the most important part because, like, right now, voting rights are literally under attack.
Yes.
People are losing their right to vote pretty much and are losing their just, like, the amount that how much their vote really counts. They're losing their voice. So, like, now, if you want to take my voice away from my vote, okay, you can't take my voice away.
Right.
Right.
You can't take these organizations away. So now we need, like, that's where the change happens.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And I think, right, like, just having, like, Mamdani as somebody who is in a position so that, like, more people can truly visualize, like, it is possible for a politician to say they're going to do something
and
then do it.
Yes.
And if it didn't get done fast enough, why? Like, him being very so transparent and doing those things will hopefully then, transcend other areas to have that same space, because it is possible. Look, we literally have an example right here of the possibility of it happening.
Exactly. And one funny thing I find about Mamdani is that Trump apparently really likes him. Like,
it's because Mamdani's a good talker, like you were saying earlier.
Like he's a really good talker, and like Trump somehow really likes him.
And I think that the space is like Trump isn't smart.
Yeah, that's
and so he is what he can see as somebody who was a business mogul, I guess, right? And a TV star is when somebody's got star power, they got star power.
Oh yeah,
right.
And he has star power.
Yeah,
and that's that space, and why he likes him so much,
right?
Is because he can see that.
Yeah. So we need more people like that running, like hitting the ground, like and getting people like behind them, like that's
And truly, like, in a way, kill him with kindness, because that's what I think is really making Mamdani made it to where Mamdani in his meeting with Trump go so well, is because he's like, you know what, I actually can't stand this dude. And you could tell in the picture that he took with him,
so
it was like, I don't really want to be here, but we got it done.
Yeah.
And we have to, like, it's just a reality, like, we got to do things that we don't want to do sometimes, especially in organizing.
Absolutely.
But when you do that, a lot of the times there can be a lot of good that comes from it too.
Yeah. I mean, politics is messy, right? So, gotta get gotta get in the mud.
Yeah. Hey, you just quoted that's a quote we made up during the last few podcasts.
Nice.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, we said something about like getting the blood off your hands and get your hands in the dirt.
Yes.
Because that's what we have to do as Americans, is truly like wash the blood off of our hands, because we all are in ways complicit with this system.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do we undo that, deconstruct that, and build something more beautiful?
Yes.
You know? Yeah. Is there anything that you want to leave the audience with?
I don't think so. I don't have any works in the way right now. I've been just, again, I'm trying to apply for grad school this year, and so I've just been chugging away with writing poetry. None of them have been published yet. Hopefully soon, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's a lot of work in progress. But yeah, hopefully maybe by the end of this year, maybe I'll put out one thing.
Okay.
We'll see. But no promises. No promises. No promises.
And when we hear about that, if that is ever put out, we will
know.
share it out here, because now you're part of our community, part of the Off the Shelf Book Club community. And this has been I really enjoyed myself doing this. This was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for, recommending such an awesome book.
Yeah. Thank you. And so again, thank you for your time today. We really appreciated it. And just as a reminder for all of you, make sure that you check out our upcoming book. We do this till we free us. You can get those links down below. Do you want to put out? Well, this has been our first interview on Off the Shelf Book Club podcast. So we're really excited to bring more of these to you. And we had a really great guest this time. It was a really good experience overall, and I look forward to, possibly working with you in the future and reading some of these works that you put out in the future, and having discussions about that. There's a lot of gems that you dropped today, and I really appreciate that, and appreciate you taking the time, because we're still in the beginning stages of everything, so it wasn't the smoothest, but.
Okay.
It happened. It worked.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime, truly. And if, we'll be continuing reading and stuff. So if you ever are interested in talking about a book, feel free.
Yeah, doing whatever. This is a start to a really long and big road ahead of us. So.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate all of you for tuning in. Make sure that, again, you like, subscribe, share this video with a friend, because everybody needs to be doing the knowledge, because everybody needs to be ready when the revolution comes, and it will be coming. So, again, I hope y'all all have a great rest of your day, weekend, week, whatever it is for you, and great health and wealth, peace and love. Ashe.
Ashe.
I write it for people, baby.
To truly choose to love is heroic.
Everything would be all right if everything was put back in the hands of the people. And we're going to have to put it back in the hands of the people.
It takes